All right, our gym made $136,000 last month, and we built three forms that tell us exactly why clients leave, like real reasons, not just it's too expensive type shit. I'm going to show you all three and how we built them. And by the way, if you're a gym owner and you want to learn more stuff like this, we have it for free on our Skool group, so check out the link below. So we're in this phase right now, Brandon, where we're just trying to cook up as much data as possible. You know, like every single time we meet, we're just talking about like improving our Airtable, like this spreadsheet, that spreadsheet, and we're just trying to get as much data from the business as possible. And whereas a lot of the gyms that we've worked with in the past, they don't even collect like any data, you know?
And if you listen to like Alex Hormozy, like he always just like he just cuts straight to the chase about like data. He's like, "What's your LTV? What's your churn? You know, what's your CAC?" And it's funny because he came from that gym world before, and when you first get into being a gym owner, you think it's all going to be about barbells and technique, and you know, of course that's part of it. But when it boils down to it, if you want to be a successful gym owner, you have to have accurate and reliable data. And you and I meet like this every week, and it's like the first thing that we pull up is like just a weekly overview so we can almost like
Oh, dude,
disconnect ourselves from the day to day.
you know what we should talk about? We should talk about like how we made like that massive change with our program. Remember, like, okay, so basically what Brandon and I did was we made this change where like, oh, you know, instead of having clients renew at their contracts, we should just have endless contracts. So before we used to have like you sign up for your 3, 6, or 12 month or whatever 8 month, 9 month contract, and then from there it's like once it expires, it's up to the trainer to renew that person. And we were like thinking like, oh, our renewal rates are like 67%. Maybe we can bump those up to like 80 or 90%. Let's try to do that. Let's try to do. Let's switch it to the endless contract. So there is no like after your 6 months are up, then it goes into like this contract that just goes into month to month. You remember that?
Yeah, and it was
And
crazy. And we did this for how many months? Like what, 8, 10 months at least.
and then like it took effort to change that first of all. So it took like it was we had to get all our trainers on board. We had to change operations, change the contracts themselves, change it in mind body and all of that stuff. Right? We had to do all of that. And then at the end, we like looked at the data after 9 months, and it literally, I think it got worse, right?
It was like literally the fucking same, or if not worse. Like it was comical. It was
Yeah.
comical that we put so much effort and time into it, thinking like this is going to be the thing that goes from 67 to 73%, and
Yeah, yeah.
it literally got worse,
Yeah.
and we would
And I
not have
was like
known
I
that.
was so pissed. I was so pissed about that because like because now like we were saying like we're in this phase of data collection. And it's like if we just were looking at the data before, we would have never done that. We would have never started a project like that because it's like we know that that's not the project that we should be doing because we'd look at the data and be like, "Oh, right now our problem is hiring trainers." You know, like what all of our effort needs to go into hiring trainers, not changing some stupid contract, you know?
Yeah, because we at the
So,
end of the day, it was just stupid busy work, and we just felt like we
exactly.
were making progress, and we were felt like we were being really big brain, but realistically, we're just like those memes where you're just like putting on clown makeup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then at the very end, it's just like you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
so, yeah, so data collection. And so what we need to collect, the data that we need to collect was why people weren't renewing their contracts, why people weren't canceling their contracts, and also why people weren't continuing in the trial. So, where a lot of gyms fail is they expect their front desk staff to ask the question. You know, it's like they have like a form and it says like, "Why is this person quitting?" And they just write like financial, right? Or
Or
like,
rate
"How
the
come this person?"
facility.
Yeah, rate the facility out of 10 or something
Yeah.
stupid like that. And we obviously had all those forms built out. Some of them we were missing. Like for example, we didn't have a trial drop off form. Like why are you dropping off from the trial? And by the way, like all of these forms, the only one that's mandatory is the cancellation form. But we phrase it as mandatory to cancel your payments. So it's like, to cancel your payments, fill out this form. Exactly the same way that, like, if you were to go on like sign up for Spotify, it's going to ask you, why are you canceling? So yeah, the problem with the forms, though, and the problem with like many gyms, because I know, like, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking like, oh, I already have forms, like, why do I need to listen to this podcast? Like, your forms most likely suck. And the reason why our forms stand out is because they actually get to the root cause of why the person is actually quitting. Because financial could mean like a billion different things.
And from our past form results, like, I think like 90 to 100% people put in financial, because especially if the trainer gave it to that person, they're just like too afraid to hurt their feelings and say like, hey, you know what? Thanks for the past 6 months, but we've literally accomplished nothing together. It's not you, it's finances.
Yeah. And then like your front desk staff for the trainer just literally writes financial.
Yeah.
Or like even the person
I guess
in
the
the
economy's really hard.
Yeah. And the form, like, they'll just put in financial because they just feel bad. So obviously our forms had those answers. Like, I think when we were looking at our data from the forms, it was like 95% financial, but that's not the reality. So we need to extrapolate that data to figure out, why are these people leaving. I should also tell you guys that we don't have an issue with churn. Like, churn's not an issue. Like, our churn, it goes anywhere between like 2% to like 5% in a month over the span of the year. So like, I think our average churn is like 3.5% or something like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, we still want to make our program better, and we want to figure out if it's a financial reason due to the trainer, financial reason because the gym is dirty, financial reason because you're actually broke. So the way that it works is, should I share the screen?
Yeah. Share it really quickly.
Okay, so the way that it works is, somebody lands on the page. It says, thanks for training with us at Kraken. It collects their name information. And then from there, it asks them the typical questions that you see. How would you rate the facility? How would you rate the coaching staff? How would you rate the overall experience? And if they answer anything less than a 5 on any of these questions, it's going to use conditional logic to ask them the next question, which is, what could we have done different? If there's one thing that you didn't like, then you'd rate it 4. Like, what could we have done differently? And then from there, it asks them the main question. So what's the main reason why you decided not to renew your program? So financial reasons, I'm ready to train on my own, I didn't get results, moving. So if they answer financial reasons, it's going to ask them, like, when you say financial reasons, which of these best describes your situation? I loved it, but it's just not in my budget right now. It feels too expensive for the value I got. My coach would have made it more expensive. My coach could have made it more worth it. So this is like, oh, it's the coach, right? This one, it's like, oh, it's not in my budget right now. It's like, okay, it's not in your budget right now. I mean, they could still be just lying, but it's more likely that the person's going to just like tell you their honest opinion if it uses conditional logic. So that's why it's really important to get the actual data from all of these clients. Like, find out why, because then you can use that to improve the program. Because like, if somebody says financial, like if 95% of people say financial, does it mean that your program's too expensive?
Maybe not. But
yeah,
like,
maybe, but most likely not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why don't you just reduce your prices? I guarantee you, even if you reduce your prices, you're still going to get people that are saying, oh, financial.
Totally, 100%. And even in our program, we have options that you can downsell into. So we always joke around with our trainers saying like, our clients should never, ever, ever leave because they can train here for $17.50 a week, which is equivalent to like
$17.50, like $17.50.
Exactly.
Not
yeah.
1,750.
That'd be right,
like,
man.
it's
I wish.
so cheap. It's so cheap. There's literally no reason why anybody would ever need to cancel fully. Like, they can always stay within the ecosystem. So when somebody cancels with us, we're like, what? actually ruins my day,
Yeah, totally. But I know these forums have gone for the better for a lot of our trainers. Like, just to share like another experience, like we had a senior trainer and he's been around. His retention was going through a little bit of a slump the year prior. And, whenever he would have someone drop off, people would always just say financial. And of course, it's because, he was actually really good at socializing with the client. But what was realistically happening on the back end was he was not very good with scheduling. He was not really good with, getting back to them in text, and as well as he was like talking too much during the sessions. And so when we were actually able to get that real data and feedback from people, we were able to make implementations and help him build the skills for him to overcome all those obstacles. And sure enough, this year his retention has skyrocketed.
Yeah, exactly. And it was all because we were tracking data. So I think that's the entire premise of this video is like, make sure that your data isn't shit data. Make sure that you collect, if you're going to collect data, make sure it's really good, clean data, and you know it's accurate, because the data is what you're going to use to make decisions in your business. So like I said before, like we wouldn't have gone through that entire process of changing all of our contracts if we just looked at the data and saw that it was not something that we should be focusing on, And but yeah, now everything's running smoothly because we know that like what we need to be focusing on and how to fix things, because we can say like, oh, the data points to that. All right, so I hope you guys liked that video. If you guys want to join our Skool program, it's absolutely free, so you can learn more about all this stuff inside there for free. And we'll see you inside.